Another day, another thought. Welcome on to another edition of the Double Thought Show. Hope you guys are doing amazing. As you guys know, I'm RJ here together with my co-host KR. KR, what's up, man?
I wanted to make a joke, but I don't think it's appropriate at this moment. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
All right. Hey, thanks for everyone that's checking out the show. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the Double Thought Show. We hope you enjoy the content of our show. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already. That's important. Remember to share. With regards to to our request that you subscribe if you haven't done so already, we kindly ask you if you haven't done so, please subscribe because by subscribing, you help us grow the channel and upgrade the quality of our shows. We've made some improvements thanks to you, thanks to your words of encouragement, your feedback. This is a channel, we're just getting started. We have major plans. So it would really help a lot if you haven't done so already. We want to get this week. So we're breaking the goals down, smaller goals. We want to get 30 new subs by this week. So please contribute to that. We would appreciate it a lot. We have a very interesting topic for you guys today, but before we discuss that, remember there's a disclaimer at the bottom. The purpose of this show is to discuss interesting topics and provide entertainment, especially this topic. Guys, here on the Double Thought Show, we champion freedom of speech, but we also champion uh, tolerance, uh, open-mindedness, accept or at least not accept each other people's opinion and thoughts, but listen and respect that. So we, with all the video we do, we want to just be able to talk and discuss the topics. We are very interesting to know what you find of the topics as well. Today we have a very interesting one, but please remember that this is just to provide entertainment. If you are looking for advice in a particular area in your life, we strongly urge you to seek the assistance of the respective professional. For everything else, we welcome you to the Double Thought Show.
I see what you did there.
I know
You're taking
I'm not.
the guys. That's why you have to have a lawyer on your team
No,
because he's taking precautions for if the intro goes south.
I'm not gonna let you talk before the disclaimer.
He thought after I kept the joke in, he was like, let me skip to that part.
Where do we begin?
Where do we begin, guys? Today we're going to talk about the Ocean Gate 5, Pearly Gates 5, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about this, and also in the media, on TV. It was all over the place. We've heard about these guys were almost losing
Breath, the
oxygen.
oxygens, yeah.
Oxygen. It was unfortunately it was quite clear what happened right after. Well, they announced it 3 days after. They already know what happened. But guys, first of all, I want to say RIP to the people who were in that vessel.
Yeah, and strength to the family as well, family and friends, and all the loved ones through this difficult time.
With that being said, we are going to break down everything about the Ocean Gate. Was it safe? Did the CEO knew that this could happen? We're going to look at the waiver. What are they talking about in the waiver? What are safety concerns? Were there people who refused to go into that because they were using Logitech? Well, nothing against Logitech controllers, but when I was small playing PlayStation, I would refuse if you gave me a knockoff controller. So they were using Logitech controllers in the submersible.
Yes, yes, yes. One thing we're also going to talk about, but we're going to do that more at the end, guys, is whether how the communication went with regards to the story. As KR said, there's been everyone has been able to witness different news outlets talking about this story. They've talked about it for 4 days long. But as Kara said, people knew, at least the Navy knew, like 2 hours in, that there was there's a likely chance that the vessel had exploded. Did we, as the public, deserve to know the truth, or did they, or at least was it the truth? It wasn't the truth at that point. It was more like Schrodinger's cat. But did the communication, did it go the way it should have, or maybe they could have done better? We're going to discuss all these topics and more in today's show.
Yes, yes, yes.
Bora! Hora do show!
It's showtime. And voila. The Canadian police is already considering a criminal probe into the catastrophic
It's catastrophic.
catalyst for something else. Titanic tourist sub implosion that killed 5 men as mothership returns to the port. That's the first article we're going to discuss today. Because, according to sources, media sources, they are asking themselves if the CEO lied about the safety. Titanic Foundation probes whether OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush lied about Titan submersible safety by claiming it was safer than crossing the street to get expert PH Narguilé on board. Narguilé. That's what it says, right? Oh, I guess.
Nargilette? I don't know.
But he's French, so Narguilé.
Nargelet.
Nargelet. Yeah,
Nargelet.
that probably is. Yeah. Nargelet. On board of doomed voyage.
Nargelet.
Nargelet. Yes. I mean, guys, it's safer to cross the street. RJ, something to say about that?
Yeah, maybe the writer lives in Rio de Janeiro.
Where is that one?
Okay.
Where is that one? That's a hot shot.
Nah, man. But hey, I think that that's simply not true. But that's just so seems more like a what's the name for it? When an exaggeration is clearly an exaggeration, like when you say I died 1,000 times. You didn't really do it. It's clearly an exaggeration. No, this is worth 1 million. It's clearly an exaggeration. So I think that that's what I believe. To me. But perhaps the other person, for the people who decided, or for the CEO, was it the CEO or the founder, or is that the same person?
CEO and co-founder.
Okay, so perhaps it was for the CEO and co-founder, not the same, or at least, I don't know. I don't know what data he took it from. Doesn't seem like he used it out of any data. So it's either a clear exaggeration or a lie. But
that's a good question. So those are the questions they're gonna ask themselves when they're investigating.
Yeah.
Is it a hyperbole or is he actually lying? One thing is for sure is that they were using do-it-yourself material for the submersible. So it's basically a backyard submersible trying to reach the Titanic at what? How many feet? How many meters down? 2,700 or something like that.
Is it? I thought it was more. Maybe it's less. I don't know.
Maybe, but it's a backyard, so it's the same Probably he hired one of the cartel guys to create a submersible. Who knows? Who knows? But let's take a look at him or the CEO, Stockton Rush, explaining.
Yeah, it's more than 12,000 feet down the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, so trying to reach with it, it's the same. I mean, it's a struggle. Let's put it that way. But let's take a look at. But guys, before we talk about that, just know that in order to reach those depths in the ocean, you really require specialized tested materials. So you cannot say I'm gonna create a submersible and test it around with humans in there. It's an extensive testing. There are testing programs. Seems like he might have that he might not have tested it correctly. Who knows? Let's talk about that more later. RJ, do you want to say something before I show the video?
No, we can proceed with the video.
Okay. Let's take a look at what he has to say about his submersible.
So we're coming into the sub. This is the only toilet available on a deep diving submersible. Best seat in the house. You can look out the viewport. We put a privacy screen in, turn up the music, and it's very popular.
If that's the if that's the highlight of the trip, I'm not going, man.
Yo, they put the music, they put a screen, but you will smell the smell. Yo, how long? So they said that the trip would be like 8 hours. So if someone, don't want to say use the word. If someone drops a deuce in there, God bless everyone, man. You cannot even like the.
They would have suffered from fumigation.
You gotta be smelling that smell will be there for 8 hours. God bless everyone in that submersible.
Yeah.
But let's continue.
We have our control screen here, our sonar screen here, and we can put any image we want in the back. We've taken a completely new approach to the sub design, and it's all run with this game controller and these touch screens. So if you want to go forward, you press forward. If you want to go back, you go back. Turn left, turn right, go down, go up. And it's Bluetooth, so I can hand it to anybody. And it's meant for a 16-year-old to throw it around, and super durable. We keep a couple of spares on board just in case.
If you, bro,
How?
did he just throw the remote of the underwater vessel on the ground like that? That's crazy, man.
And we keep a couple on board just in case. Just in case it loses connection.
The battery runs
The
out.
battery is down.
No, man.
I said something, and I stand by it. When I was young, and people would invite me to their home, guys I would used to hang out to play PlayStation. If you gave me, that was what I was about. If you gave me a knockoff joystick, I would have left. So imagine if I paid. So people were paying 250,000 for a trip, and if this is what you steer the submersible with, it's not a brag in my book. Maybe for someone who's trying to cut. If this is how you cut cost, tells me a lot about the whole submersible. But RJ,
Yeah, no, it's I mean, we can. Is that all you wanted to show about of the video? Just to show the
Yes,
remote?
yes.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay. Yeah.
no, not just the remote. I wanted to show the
Well,
whole
especially
setting.
the remote.
Especially the remote, but the
No.
whole setting. You're getting a deuce in, and everyone is smelling that for
Yeah.
8 hours. But okay.
Well, that to me is not the main issue. The main issue to me is safety. I mean, it is a big issue for me. Don't get me wrong, but just like camping, when you go camping, you make sacrifices. So I just think that something so extreme, you would need to make sacrifices. I understand that, but to me, safety is very important, and we're gonna talk more about safety in a bit. But just, I mean, if the remote that you use to steer the vessel is a gaming remote repurposed that works
Come on, man.
that works with that works with Bluetooth. I want the remote of any vehicle I step into to be stuck to the vehicle. I don't want any.
It has to be a bit robust.
It needs to be robust, and if you want to have, for example, like a virtual for in case of or whatever, it can't be not even so, but I mean, it needs to be option C. It can't be A, B, and C, especially if the guy is just throwing it around and saying it's durable. That seems to me that's very indicative of the rest, because the remote, two things are two things can never fail. It's
Tell me, what can
Oh, Jesus.
two things that you need: the power.
then it's 3. Okay, but continue.
So the power. Because I wanted to say the motor, but the power is basically the power, and I was gonna say the remote, the steering, whatever. Because even if you're on let's say you're on any vessel, you're on a plane, or something happens to a motor, you need a bit of power, and you need to be able to navigate. Those are the two things that the least needs to be working properly.
It's 3.
Okay, what's the third one?
The most important one.
The
What do you
toilet.
think is the most? No. What the heck, bro? What the heck?
Well, the guy.
No, not the toilet.
The guy started with showing off the toilet, so I thought,
That's the first thing once you get in. That's the first thing you see. Come on, man. If that's the first, well, they used to. I think you get into the vessel on top, but I don't know why it's open in the front. But the most important thing, the oxygen.
oxygen. Yeah,
I mean, this is where the game starts. I mean,
yeah, but I mean,
then with the steering.
yeah, but no, but of course. So I mean, then you go with oxygen. There are a lot of things. The cabinet, everything needs to be pressurized. But I
those
mean,
are the minimum 3.
no, but then you use you're talking about everything. But I mean, the two. I assume that the oxygen is taken care of. I mean, yeah.
Well, according to the media sources, it wasn't. But guys, let us know in the comments what you think about this, the steering, the Bluetooth. Is it responsible to have because I searched that Bluetooth steering up. I searched it up. It's about $50. That's not a brag, man. It has to be robust. Let us know in the comments what you think about the steering. And also, let us know in the comments what you think about sharing the air with someone doing deuces in front of you. And by the way, that's the only... So whatever you do, the opening is in the front. They didn't put the deuces at the back. You gotta go to the front. So you whatever someone drops a deuce, you gotta sit there to watch the Titanic. Why you smell the while you're on top of the deuce? Come on, man.
Not only that, man.
You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up.
250,000?
That's a double entendre. You can, something that another thing that I thought of, the incentive. What are you incentivizing? Usually you want people to enter and get out, but the only opening is at the front.
It's the front, yes.
So what you're basically encouraging people to do is just sit there and take their times. Because then they would have the best seat in the house. That's what the co-founders said. Man.
Come on, man.
Hey, he'll be sitting there. You hear in the back.
Come on, man.
Hurry up, man. I want to see as well. Anyway, guys. So there were warnings. Let's continue because there's a lot we need to cover.
Yeah, let's go.
There were warnings. 5 years of safety warnings about OceanGate expeditions. Damning records reveal that the catalog of claims made about Titanic submarine firm that were all ignored. Stockton Rush even said in the email, stop saying I'm gonna off someone. I find it personally insulting. After he said that after someone complained to him that there are safety concerns to the vessels they operate.
And who was it that complained? Was it someone that knew of the vessel, or
it was a deep sea? It was. Let me share my screen again. Oh, I need to share it here. The leading deep sea exploration specialist, Rob McCallum, sorry, said he was potentially risking putting his clients at risk. He said it through a email.
yeah?
So it's not someone randomly who said it. It was someone who knows about deep sea exploration. There are multiple people who said some things almost went wrong. For example, we have someone saying, I could have went off the cliff, literally, in the Titanic submersible, but my dive was canceled. Reveals his trip was axed over malfunction just days before 5 were offed when vessel imploded. Submersible expert who took 2019 trip on Titan heard cracking noise, which signaled an area of the hull was breaking down, and it raised safety concerns in chilling email to OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush. It continues. Even Ross Kemp was invited. For those who don't know, Ross Kemp is known for documentaries, and you might have seen him before. Let me share his face to you guys. You might have seen him before in documentaries all over the world about about the sea, etc. So even he refused to get into it because of safety concerns. They investigated the vessel and it was not safe. There are also tycoons who refused to enter that vessel. There is also, which is an even more damning information about this. We all turned down the trip on a shoddy Titanic submarine, from the tourists who saw do-it-yourself light strip and thought again, to the ex-marine terrified by off-the-shelf components, and some who warned his dad not to board the unsafe vessel. There is this highly experienced, highly experienced um, deep sea specialist who was invited early on to this to the vessel to partake into one of the missions. His name is Robert Mester, and this is Robert. This is Robert, and Robert basically said, I went to take a look at the equipment. And he said, I'm going to share this with you guys. He was offered, first of all, to join his predecessor, the antipodes, or whatever it's called, which later was the Titan. He says he turned it down because of signing off-the-shelf equipment. Master said, quite frankly, I found something else to take my time up rather than taking the trip. The Titan has a carbon fiber hull, which, how do I put it? It's not a material that's ever been successfully used at great depths.
Incredible.
So this whole submersible was one big, as they call it in startups, MVP. They were running tests with people in it.
Well, seems more like the LVP. It's not. It's definitely not. If that's the most viable product here,
Minimum viable product. Not the most.
the M
the least.
minimum. If that's the minimum viable product, then the operative word, well, it's the minimum product. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
But it's not the viable product.
It's not viable. Well, it seems that it's clearly not viable. They were testing, dude. They were testing. Basically, it's a concept they were testing with people in it. And
Yeah.
the fact that, like I said before, someone was hearing the noise, the cracking noise, which means that they did 10 dives with it. So every time it dove, it was going. The first few times it can handle the pressure, but the more it's like a elastic band. You keep pushing it, and it will snap at a certain point. And this was that point, because this happened at only 1.5 hour or 1 hour and 45 minutes
Yeah.
after they dove. So it couldn't even handle normal pressure.
Yeah. Didn't even get to the bottom. It didn't even get to the real pressure.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it takes, from what I heard, it takes about 3 to 4 hours to reach the Titanic.
Something like that. Yeah.
So
4 hours, I think.
it didn't even reach half.
Yeah.
There are waivers. But before we talk about waivers, guys, guess what we always want to talk about? You liking the show. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, guys. If you like this topic we're talking about, if you also give us a comment. Let us know what you think about this whole mission. Should they stop it or not? Also, it really helps us if you press that like button. We're trying to get our video out there. We're trying to spread the word.
Yes. The gospel.
Someone is in a submersible and falling asleep. Remember to follow us. Huh?
I don't use the roadcaster that much, so that's why it's never where it needs to be.
motherfucker. Anyway, guys, remember to follow us on all the socials, Instagram and Facebook, The Double Thought Show. Also, 95% of you guys aren't subscribed yet, but you're watching the show right now. If you're interested in our topics and updates, things we discuss, we try to switch between basically business and law cases. This is a law case now.
Yeah.
This is becoming a law case. So we're gonna probably follow up to see what will happen. If you want to keep following us, following these topics, press on that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. We're trying to reach a goal, as RJ already said, 30 subs this week. You can be one of the 30. Press on that subscribe button. And of course, as we always say at the Double Thought Show, don't forget to share the video with your friends, families, people who ever are the divers. Because we're going to talk about some waivers. So maybe the divers can learn something about the waivers. The adventurist in your family, share it with them as well. Safety first. Usually we say to distract your enemies. But today we're not going to distract any enemies, because if you want to distract your enemies, just put them in a submersible. Let's continue. Let's continue with the show.
Correct.
Or on the Titanic. So what's up? What are we gonna discuss next?
Yes. Well, it happens to be both of the strategies happened. People exploring, wealthy people exploring, right?
Yes.
The Titanic was kind of the rich man's boat.
Yeah.
To explore the northern parts of the ocean.
Yeah.
The invincible.
Indestructible.
Indestructible. Yes. Read about it and you will know what had really happened. But that's not the topic of today, guys. Read about it. That's the Double Thought Show. We spray the love out there and you guys have to catch it. Anyway.
No, I'm not. I'm RJ and I don't approve this message.
Anyway, guys. So we're gonna talk about the waiver right now.
Yes,
RJ.
yes.
RJ, you're the lawyer of us too. So you know
Yes.
a little thing about waivers.
I know a thing or two about waivers. So when waivers are meant to basically protect a person or a company from liability, right? So usually you let a person sign a waiver when you don't, especially when you are providing a service that might be dangerous or might be risky or has a high risk of either let's say the consequences might be grave or just sometimes to be safe. But you let your clients or your customers sign a waiver so that it will limit their chances of suing you successfully in the future. Of course, the people in this particular case signed a waiver. That's according to news. We have an example. I think that we have an example of the waiver. Kara, where did we find this waiver?
We found it on Daily Mail. Let me share my screen with you guys.
Yeah, so according to Daily...
Yes, continue, sorry.
Yeah, so according to to Daily Mail...
Daily Mail Online, yes.
Daily Mail Online, yeah, they had an article regarding the waiver Article states that, or at least they had one, perhaps two articles, but basically the articles are about whether or not OceanGate can be held liable for the damages caused or damages that occurred during the last trip. The article also states that the passengers, the customers, had to sign a waiver, and they signed the waiver. And we have a copy of the waiver here, provided to us by
Daily Mail.
Daily Mail. Maybe you can zoom in a bit.
little bit. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can read the crazy stuff.
Yeah. So let's see. Can the family, friends, and or other people, other stakeholders successfully sue OceanGate? Let's see what the waiver says. I acknowledge that I have voluntarily applied to participate in a submersible operation arranged by OceanGate. The operative word here is voluntarily. That means it wasn't obligatory.
Wait a second. Do you also see where they are registered?
In the Bahamas.
Do you- Who else was in the Bahamas?
Who else was at
Was it A reputable company named Microsoft? B, a legendary company called Apple? Or C, a company that also imploded and was doing crypto named FTX? Which one was it, guys? The time is ticking. I don't have time ticker.
tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Which
Okay.
one is it, guys? Is it A,
Let us
B,
know in the comments.
or C? Is it A, B, or C? Let us know why the third one is correct. So the
Okay, let me share. Let me go back.
go back. So the operative word in the first line is voluntarily. It goes on to say, I've been informed about the nature of the operation and the risks, including 1, the operation includes activities involving subsurface vessels, surface vessels, and or remotely operated vehicles that are on, near, or under the water. Up to that point, nothing noteworthy. A portion of the operation will be conducted inside and here comes another operative word, experimental submersible vessel. Here's the word again. Experimental submersible vessel has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and may be constructed of materials that have not been widely used in human-occupied submersibles.
Red flag number 1.
Guys, I think we need to read that one more time. Now we can keep it as it is.
You want to keep it like this?
Yeah, let's keep it like this.
Okay.
Let's read it one more time, guys. I'm gonna read it. The waiver that the passenger signed makes the participants acknowledge that they are aware of the risks and accept the risks, including the fact that, and I quote, a portion of the operation will be conducted inside an experimental submersible vessel. Operative word being experimental. The experimental submersible vessel has, and here it comes again, guys, not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and may be constructed. So that to itself should be alarming.
At that point, you should ask yourself.
You should stop right there. You should stop.
What do you mean by that?
You should have stopped there. Submersible vessel, approximately 12,000 feet below ocean level. If it's an experimental, they use the word experimental. They say that it hasn't been approved or certified by any regulatory body. You should have stopped right there. But we're not done with the sentence yet. The sentence go on and says, and I quote, and may be constructed of materials that have not been widely used in human-occupied submersibles. End of quote.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That means the participant, and that's point number 2, guys. There are 6.
We're not even there yet. You already know you're entering maybe a casket, but okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's wild. It's wild.
And we can proceed. 3, when diving below the ocean surface, this vessel will be subject to extreme pressure, and any failure of the vessel while I am aboard could cause severe injury or deletion. I understand that I may decline to participate in any dive below the ocean surface or any activity of the operation at any time. In other words, I understand that I am voluntarily accepting the risks. I am voluntarily making the choice to participate in the trip. Number 4, support vessels upon which I may board are industrial vessels not specifically designed for passenger operation and present many hazards, including, without limitation, large heavy objects, heavy swinging doors, and low overhangs. These could become even more hazardous in heavy seas. In addition, during the operation, I may board small vessels and other equipment that could expose me to property damage, injury, and disability or deletion. So it's saying that the vessels are not, or it indicates that some of the vessels, if not all vessels, here it's talking about more the surface vessels, so probably the boat that's taking them to a certain place, are not specifically designed for people, right? It's just they are using it, but it's not designed for passenger operations, to use the words they use. Number 5 says, if I choose to assist in the servicing or operation of the submersible vessel, I will be exposed to the risks associated with high pressure gases, pure oxygen servicing, high voltage electrical systems, and other dangers that could lead to property damage, injury, disability, and deletion. Number 6, the operation will take place largely at a great distance from the nearest hospital or rescue personnel. If I am injured during the operation, I may not receive immediate medical attention. First aid available on the ship may not be equivalent to what is available on land. I acknowledge that all travel in or around the water on vessels of any type, including the submersibles, entails both known and unanticipated risks that could result in physical injury, disability, Emotional trauma, deletion, harm of myself of or third parties, or damage to my property. Although OceanGate Expeditions Ltd will take steps to probably prevent, and we're not gonna read everything, guys.
Yeah.
To provide me with adequate training, equipment, etc., yada yada yada. I acknowledge and keep acknowledging that I am responsible for my own choice. So, guys, KR, what do you think? I mean, I have my thoughts, of course, as my thoughts on the matter with a bit more legal background. But what do you think?
About the waiver or the combination of the waiver and what I saw before? The
What
combination.
do you think that the friends and family of the deceased can successfully claim damage? What do you think? I'm just curious to know, based on the waiver.
Based on the waiver, I think it clearly states that it's an experimental vessel
Yeah.
that could lead. It explicitly said the materials used in the vessel have never been used or have not been used before in human submersibles.
Yeah, they say that it has not been these materials have not been widely used
Widely, okay. And
in human occupied submersible.
the part that's not widely, so the part that has been used in it is them. They are the ones that are not part of the widely.
Yeah,
They are the exception.
yeah.
You're entering. That's all I say. So
Yeah.
it's clear where man, it's a shame, but is this cloud chasing? Is cloud chasing leading people to make choices that make no sense? Doesn't matter how many times someone will try to convince me it's safe. If it's not been tested and that's not been approved, because that's what it says here.
It's not been approved. It's not
been
been
approved and certified. That's the most important thing, the certification. When you're dealing with safety, I know a thing or two about safety. Even though I'm in my mama's basement, I always am safe in my mama's basement. You gotta at least be certified. You have to have at least certain things certified in order to say it's safe. And the CEO and the pilot, the head pilot, or whatever you want to call him, the head man, he can tell me 1,000 times it's safe. It's safer than crossing the street. Hey man, I can look left and right when I'm crossing the street. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. It's an experimental vessel, so
yeah. Well, I think that one thing, that the fact that they signed the waiver definitely puts pressure. Doesn't make it easy for other people for the family and friends to successfully sue. However, what does play a role, KR, is that there seems to have been indication that the vessel wasn't working properly in the first place. So using materials that haven't been approved or certificated or certified, apologies, is one thing, right? Using inferior materials is one thing, but gross negligence is another. And there were stories, and I don't know to what extent they were true or not, but there were stories about the vessel being allegedly or at least having cracking sounds and things of that nature. Maybe it was something that was attended to, maybe it wasn't. But that's what the family and the friends would need to do. So what the waiver does is that it puts a higher burden of proof on the family and friends that want to sue. So it does make it impossible, but it does make it very difficult, because if the family and friends cannot prove gross negligence, then the waiver just stands.
If I'm not, I'm trying to search for it real quick. I think they also say something about negligence in this waiver.
What did you say lastly? My apologies.
No, they say there is something about negligence in the waiver. I'm not sure if I can find it real quick if I search it up.
Yeah, so you can put all these things in a contract, but it's never airtight, because you want to avoid that someone will let someone write something and then or sign something and then act with negligence. So it's always with a grain of salt. There's always a chance that the contract or that the waiver can be overturned.
Okay. It says I hereby. I think I found it. Release parties. Myself asserting that. I cannot find it, but it is. They say, "Oh, I hereby." Oh, here it is. Here it is. It's at the here. This is wild, guys. This is very wild. Let me share my screen with you guys. It says the following: I agree hereby to defend. Oh, wait a second. Am I? It's the up top. I hereby assume full responsibility for the risk of bodily injury, disability, death. Ooh, that hurt. Property damage due to the negligence of any release party while involved in the operation. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm trying to. What is meant with released party?
They are the released party. I think they are saying it somewhere upstairs. That OceanGate Expedition is the released party, because they release them off. Hereby I release, waive forever and forever discharge OceanGate Expedition and its owners, officers, directors, members, employees, jeez, and
Yeah.
all of the co-volunteers, release parties participating in the operation from all liabilities, action, claims, demands, costs, losses, expenses, which all my hires, distributors, heirs, guardians, legal representatives, next of kin. They are mentioning the whole family. Assignees have against the release party. So
Yeah, so that's why I say it gives them a lot of protection, more protection than if they didn't have a waiver. It's never airtight. There's always a chance. However, I believe that the family, friends, the heirs, the whatever, the person that want to sue will have a hell of a job to do, because not because the trip in itself is risky. The vessel isn't certified, and they sign a waiver in which they assumed all the responsibility. So the level of negligence that you would need to prove is very high. It's not impossible. It's never impossible, but it's very, very high. So the chances are very small. We're not talking about a walk in Yellowstone Park. We're talking about an experimental dive in an experimental vessel. I mean, no, it's very difficult for them. Yeah.
What else did the CEO say about him hiring people? Well, you might be shocked about this, RJ. This is what Stockton Rush said. He didn't hire 50-year-olds because they were an inspiration.
Wow.
I don't know about this, but that was a random article I came across. That's kind of wild. It's a wild statement. It's a wild statement, but
That's what you want. Inspiration.
yeah, you want safety, dude.
The priorities.
You want inspiration.
The priorities are way off.
Well, it is what it is, but it has resulted in this huge loss for both the families and OceanGate itself, because I'm not sure if anyone from now on will take a trip, or maybe they will do it on discount, $1 a trip.
Yeah, I don't think anytime soon. Indeed, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Indeed. Well, we'll need to see how things transpire, but I do think that the threshold was high in the first place, right? Because a trip was 250,000.
Mhm.
Well, unless you say you're not sure about the trip, then you can get a small discount.
Yeah, there was a family that got he lowered the bar to 100,000.
That's not even business. That's just like, when you're
Join me.
yeah, don't let me go alone.
Yo,
It's crazy.
crazy, yo. Yes, it is. It is quite crazy if you look about and if you look at the let's talk about now about the, let's say, the search for the submersible after it all happened, the whole timeline, because it happened on Sunday. They lost communication with the submersible on Sunday, 1.5 hour to 1 hour and 45 minutes after they dove towards the Titanic. According to the Navy, they heard around the time that they lost communication, they heard a bang. It wasn't revealed to the public, so basically they were still searching with a couple of ships, and also with one of those airplanes. I don't know what kind of airplanes they are. These kind of the military airplanes with sonar in them.
Sonar, yeah, probably.
They were searching for those for the submersible, but the Navy heard a bang around that time, and they also informed, according to CNN. CNN is basically saying they informed. Let me share my screen. Senior Navy official told CNN that the Navy detected an acoustic signature consistent with an implosion on Sunday in the general area where the vessel was diving and lost communication with the mothership. The Navy immediately relayed the information to on-scene commanders leading the search effort, and it was used to narrow down the area of the search. The official said on Thursday. On Thursday was also the day that Thursday was the day that the final 24 hours. People were counting down as if it was the opening of the millennium. For those who don't know what that means, the year 2000. People were counting down like crazy. RJ.
Yes, the whole search was very was a very it was a very it was widely spread. Every hour there seemed to be a new update saying that there is no update. And and yeah, there was a countdown going on. People were talking about the amount of oxygen, because the news that was reported was that they lost communication with the vessel. The news that was reported was that they're trying to look for the vessel. The amount of oxygen is running out, and I believe on Wednesday, right, the oxygen ran out. And on Thursday, they found some remains, and then it was said that the vessel imploded. So that was the message,
The definitive message.
the definitive message. But I believe it was during that time as well that it was revealed that the Navy already knew. No, the Navy didn't know for sure, but they had strong indication that the vessel imploded approximately an hour and 45 minutes in the mission, because they heard or they detected an explosion or a bang on their radar or in the system that was that indicated that an implosion had taken place, and that bang came more or less in the direction or in the location where the vessel would have been at that particular point in time. So the people that were looking for the vessel during those days most likely knew about it already. Most likely they kept the information airtight as well. And we as the public, we were informed of, we were receiving information that there still might be a chance that the vessel is there, that it could have imploded, but it seemed as so the message we received seemed to indicate that the people doing the search had no clue what had happened. But now we know that they did have a clear idea of what had happened. However, their argument was that they did not share it with the public, probably to keep the public, to avoid unrest, to avoid telling something and then saying that the people passed away, and then a day later the people would emerge. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of things can be said about this topic, and the question is whether we had the right to know as the public what had happened, or at least more information that there was a bang and that might have been an implosion, or wasn't it our business to know? KR, what are your thoughts on this?
It's tough because you're dealing, of course, what you said, you're dealing with variables on both sides, on the side of the rescue mission and also on the side of the media. Well, the media will always try to milk a milk giving cow, so the story is getting views, so they will, let's be honest, the media will continue milking it as long as people are watching. They would look at what happened to Trump's time. His whole time as a president, it was one huge milk out situation. So they was milking it every second they could. On the side of the rescue mission, like you said, you're dealing with, of course, the families. If you reveal or you say, okay, there is a possibility, and they suddenly, by any chance, they not submerge. That's not submerge, right? They come up safe and sound. You look crazy.
Yeah.
The chance of you being sued, there is also a chance you can be sued by it for that. For
Yeah, you
emotional
might be
damage,
sued.
right?
Yeah, especially yeah, we might be sued. We might be sued. Yeah.
The family is hurt. They thought their loved ones passed away, and then suddenly they still alive. So they might sue you for whatever emotional damage you cause on them. So those are the things you're dealing with.
Now
Um,
they might get sued because they lied to them. Well, that's
well,
what they will say.
that's what they would say. I was about to say that. Well, um, yeah. So I think it's a very hard situation. What you see a lot of times in big investigations, they usually don't reveal inside information or the detailed information unless they are definitive about what they're about to say, and it has to do with liabilities, etc. But I think that's the reason here. Also, there have been a couple of things on Instagram, RJ, right? About let's call them other stories around the same time.
Yeah, important stories that seem to indicate that. Well, what's the name of the creator, the content creator?
Matt Kim, right? Or something like that. Matt, is it Matt? Matt Kim, yes.
Matt King.
Kim.
Matt Kim. He is a He's a content creator. Apparently, he has a YouTube channel as well. He has an Instagram channel or a page, and he went viral. One of his videos went viral because he seemed to insinuate that the stories about that vessel were shared or were pushed to the public, pushed on the public in order to, or at least so it was pushed while other news that were important weren't pushed. And he seemed to insinuate that meant that, so maybe that they were trying to hide something or whatever the case, or maybe that they didn't prioritize other important news, whatever the case may be. But that's why here on the Double Touch Show, we always say that it's important for you yourself to remember. I mean, the news, everyone has an agenda. Everyone's trying to sell you something. Either want to sell you an idea, they want to sell your product, they want to sell your service. It's important for you to determine for yourself what's important and what's not. I know people, KR, very wise people, they tell you we don't watch the news anymore because they feel like it's not news. They feel like the media will talk about what will sell, not necessarily what's important, because it's a business.
Yeah.
And I do understand that point of view, but it's a slippery slope as well, because some of those people will start listening, for example, to mainstream media and then go to other types of media. And then as if those media outlets do not have an agenda. As if they do not want to try to sell you something. So whatever the case may be, it's important for you as an individual to remember that, hey, you're free to think for yourself. Think for yourself. And when you consume news or information here and there, take a distance. Think for yourself. Let it sink in. And decide for yourself whether it's important or not. Because whether you like it or not, people will start. I mean, if you want to not talk about something, and then your colleague will look at the stories and will want to start talking about it with you. So it's like almost impossible to distance yourself in the first place. But you want to keep your sanity, and you want to keep attention to what's important to you, and that's your own well-being, your own mental well-being, your own physical well-being, your financial well-being, and overall happiness. So although I understand, it's just being
It's a
aware.
double thought.
It's just being aware. Yeah.
It's just that's what this show is about. Double thinking, double thought. Just know that, guys.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to add. I mean, it's clear that it's this is a quagmire, guys. Here at the Double Thought Show, we always say you're free to make a choice, but you're not free of consequences. Be
Yes.
sure that it's always safety. Well, that's not part of this, but also be sure safety first. Make sure whatever move you make will not jeopardize your own future or the future of your kid, because apparently the dad and the son didn't want this. The son was scared to get in. Maybe it was his gut feeling.
Yeah.
But now here we are, a couple of families without dad, one even without
A son.
dad and son.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a shame, and it's also a shame that and I don't know if I should say this, but if you know that you're working with a experimental vessel and you're really trying to convince people it's safer than crossing, whether it's a hyperbole or not, it I don't know if it's that very ethical to do what you're doing in that situation, but
No. It did seem like the company was acting or was operating very recklessly, very nonchalant, so to say the
Yeah.
least. Yeah.
It-
But at the end of the day, KR, it is a tragedy. It is a tragedy for those who lost their lives, for those who lost their loved ones. But from an objective point of view, at the end of the day, you carry the consequences of your decision.
Mhm.
And they signed a waiver in which they were confronted with the possible consequences of their decision, the possible impacts of their decision, and they chose to go anyway. For the kid, I feel very bad because the kid didn't want to go. But yeah, at the end of the day, you can't look back. So let's try to use these lessons, guys, as we want to do here on the Double Touch Show. Use these moments, use these stories, and what we also do sometimes, use lawsuits, whatever, everything we discuss, we use it to try to derive a lesson. And it's always, you see, we always get back to one thing, and that is you're responsible for the consequences of your choice. So you're free to choose, but as Kiara said, you're not freed from the consequences. With that being said, guys, it has been. Kerry, you want to say something else before?
I wanted to say something, but now you started with the ending. I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
It's quite crazy. I was waiting for you to end, and then you went to, you know what happened? You started with the end, and I was like, oh, I need to start going there. But then I lost the other thought. But
All right.
guys, yeah, I cannot come up with what I was trying to say. But at the end of the day,
Check. We're gonna put it on the Patreon. We still need to create a Patreon, but once we have a Patreon, we're gonna put it on the
we gotta
Patreon.
put it there. The afterthoughts.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a shame, and like you said, that the kid didn't want to go, and oh, I already know what I wanted to say. What? How do we always say it's prevention? What?
Prevention is better than cure.
Yeah,
Prevention is always better than cure.
prevent. That's also the I've heard that men usually are there to prevent stuff from happening, not to fix it. I mean, you try to fix it, but the better way to do it is to prevent. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. That being said, guys, thank you for tuning in once more. We really appreciate your support. Whatever your thoughts are, please let us know in the comment section below. Remember as well, guys, to rate the show by pressing the like button, share the video with your friends, your family, and of course, your enemies. And don't forget as well to follow us on our socials at Double Touch Show on Facebook and Instagram. With regards to our YouTube channel, we're trying to reach a goal. We are putting weekly goals now. So please, we want to reach 30 subs by the end of this week. So please subscribe if you haven't done so already. It really helps us. As Kara always says at the end of the show.
But I can only show you the door.
And if there is a ticket to anything behind that door, make sure you do your due diligence. If it's risky, or if it's not risky, doesn't matter. Do your due diligence. Know what you're getting yourself into, because otherwise, when stuff happens, you sign that waiver. It's your mama and your family is all tears, and you're not here anymore to tell the story.
Hey, Kara, I want to do that segment today. Can you?
Okay.
As well.
But I can only show you the door.
And if that door has a toilet attached to it,
Oh my god.
don't get out the ship. Hey guys, let's have a healthy conversation in the comment section below. We'll see each other in the next one. Until next time. Peace.